You'll be in my heart. No matter what they say.
No matter what they say.
You'll be here in my heart
again.
always. Josh Groban? Phil Collins.
97.1 ZHT.
Welcome back to Off the Record.
Are we going?
We're in.
Oh.
My favorite Phil Collins is Brother Bear. You know,
I don't think I ever saw Brother Bear.
it's really good.
You've seen Brother Bear.
I don't think.
His brother turns into a bear.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Thank you.
It's when they're like walking through the village. Not the village, they're walking through the woods, and it's like, I don't know the words, but it's a good song.
Yeah, it's a great one. It will be another day.
Another day, another dollar.
Another day, another Disney song. Hoping to really get copyrighted to the full extent of the law with this show.
Disney's really gonna hammer down on us. Let's
We all
hope.
know
Man.
Disney does not hold back with lawsuits.
We got ins though. We have people.
We got
Yeah.
people in high places. Speaking of Disney, Deadpool.
Whoa! We can talk
Deadpool,
about it.
baby.
Let's go.
Let's talk about
We
it.
all saw it.
Finally. A little late to the party, but hey.
Tanner
Welcome back.
started with the third movie.
Started with the third. Yep. Actually, I watched the first 20 minutes of Deadpool, the first one.
Whoa.
Then I fell asleep the night before, and then I had no choice but to just go see the third one.
Huh.
And it was great. It was very difficult to follow,
Yep.
but it was very funny.
It's funny.
There's a YouTube channel called Movies in a Minute, and you could have watched the whole recap.
See, a guy like me doesn't think about those things.
A guy like you probably should think about those things.
I know.
It's specifically a channel for your niche.
For you.
You're their target audience.
The banner
Exactly,
says,
yeah.
this is for Tanner. Please watch.
Yeah.
Deadpool's great. So good. Deadpool vs. Wolverine. No, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. Don't get it twisted.
Didn't get the premise of the movie, but,
But they did fight a lot.
no spoilers. But
Can we say, I guess we can't spoil? No spoilers?
no spoilers.
No
but
spoilers. Spoiler free.
1 out of 10
Gambit.
review each one of us. I'm going comedy 8, storyline 5
Okay.
because it's new to Marvel, so they tried to change a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And cinematography 8.
8.
And an 8 is pretty crazy.
And an 8. I would give it, what's your overall score though?
7.
7. Okay. Comedy is very funny. I think 9. 9. That shit got me. Man, he's so
It's
funny.
a 9, but you can't remember any of the funny parts.
Yeah, it's more just
It's
like
so
it's more
fast.
just like consistently like a good time. Like he's quick and like is the word quippy? Like really like going.
Witty, quick witty, quippy.
Quippy.
Quick with it.
Quick with it.
But you have to put it up against like the funniest movie that you've seen ever.
Okay.
I don't think that it
the
lives
funniest
up to
movie
a
I've
9.
ever seen. I don't know. I think it's
In comedy.
because I'm consistently while I'm watching, I'm consistently laughing.
Do you think it's a comedy or do you think it's an action?
I think it's a comedy. I think all.
I think it's
Deadpools-
comedy as well.
I think most Deadpools are. I will say there wasn't in the other Deadpools. There's some more like seriousness towards the end, which I think is sometimes fun. And this time it felt a little like forced, like his like sad moments or his like the real moments felt like forced, and then really quickly met with like a, isn't this funny?
A punchline.
A punchline. And I feel like the good thing about the old MCU was that, like, yes, there were funny moments, but it also was, like, really good storytelling. Like, Civil War was, like, peak MCU of, like, damn, this is a really cool, deep story. And there's also, like, funny bits.
But to be fair, they have been in a downturn, like he says in the movie.
That's super funny. That he
So-
says that. joining at a bit of a low point.
With Deadpool and Inside Out 2, which I still haven't seen,
Very good.
they're on the rise. Back
the
up.
rise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is...
Go watch it.
Because I think they're... Kevin Feige said that they're, like, not going to focus on multiverse stuff as much. And did you guys see that RDJ is coming back? Robert Downey Jr.
No.
is coming back as Dr. Doom.
Oh yeah. Actually, I did.
which is
Very
crazy.
cool. Tanner said he's not a big Marvel guy.
Yeah.
I have just not like been into the stories, and I talked about this already in one of the episodes about how.
I thought we had to
We'll
cut
bring
it.
it up again.
Oh,
Because,
did we cut it? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, good then.
yeah.
I
the
only
attention span.
the
Yeah.
attention span.
We didn't cut it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
We talked about your shitty attention span.
By the way, are you wanting the cockroach?
I am lying.
Okay.
I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is not going to get better. Hard take, but I think
The best has come.
the best has come. The best has come and gone. I think there was this really funny shot of the Russo brothers who directed like the last two Endgame movies and Civil War, which are in my opinion the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movies ever. Besides maybe like the first Iron Man, but there's this shot of one of the Russo brothers on like the Comic-Con panel, and you just see his face when they announce like RDJ, and it's just like like he doesn't, like he's like, this is crazy. I'm here for the money. I'm gonna grab my bag and dip. Like he does not want to be there.
But they will
No
never let you
passion.
go.
But they won't ever let you go. Kevin's got a tight grip on all of them. We're going to Tour Marvel Studios.
Oh, yes. Before that, though,
Yeah.
Kith.
Kith X Marvel.
Marvel. Today's Thursday,
The gems.
the 8th. The 9th. No, a full line. A full line
Yeah,
of
like
Kith.
tons of stuff.
Kith Marvel. Check it out if you're into Marvel. They did like all the OG Marvel stuff. So
Yeah, like they've got Doctor Doom stuff. They got like cool Spider-Man hats. Like did you see the new era Spider-Man cap? It's so sick.
and they have a actual silver surfboard.
It's so dope.
Wow.
And actually, I think we should get the Marvel rug. And maybe
Marvel,
put it right
yep.
there.
Not space, but we'll just
How big is it?
tear some stuff
There's a
down.
smaller one.
We can just put it right here.
We'll put it right there. Yeah, somewhere.
A rug.
It's so cool.
Go check it out. It's sweet. And we are going to tour Marvel.
Yeah, Tour Marvel.
We will do a full episode of our tour, but we're going to the Marvel lot in Burbank next week.
That's not next Monday. It's the next Monday, right?
Yeah. So in 3 weeks on Friday, you'll get the recap of how this went. And
You'll know
sounds
if we
like
went
we
to
have
Disney.
a pretty big, solid plan in action.
Sounds like it.
It was a good week.
Great week.
We interviewed with case studies John Curtis, so listen to that.
Go vote.
The elevator kept going on.
Oh my gosh.
Don't even get me started.
Don't even get me started, bro. Holy crap. It's never done that before.
So where we record, there's an elevator that can go off, and the door to turn it off was locked. Just to give you a little bit of backstory.
And how far were we into the podcast?
About 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Deep in Casey's faith question.
Yep. And crazy.
Only on the podcast. Always has to hit it with a really intense voice crack.
It's always at the worst times that the elevator goes off.
I know, it really is. And it's been locked the past few podcasts, so you can't get in. And thank God we found a way to
Tanner, you tell him how you got in.
But first of all, what happened was 30 minutes in, and the elevator starts. So sometimes the elevator it's like broken or something, and so it'll reset itself and go like just for a little bit. It's like a really loud like. And so this time, what it was doing was it was resetting a bunch, and so it would go
Seriously, for like 10 minutes straight.
and it would not stop. And so I run upstairs to go try and grab a key to get into the door. And when I'm up there, by the way, when I was up there to get it to stop, I pressed the button to call the elevator up because I know that it will sometimes, like if you call it, but I was at the top floor.
Hello, elevator.
I was at the top floor, so I didn't realize that it was down at the bottom. And so it was going to be a really long.
Yeah.
And so that was probably when Casey was like, what's going on? And so long story short, the keys didn't even work.
We paused the podcast. And Jack came back down with the keys. Keys didn't work. So we got one of our trusty Leatherman knives.
His Leatherman knife.
And popped that lock right off. And we got in, shut it down, and saved the day.
You would have thought the world was ending. But
Moral of the story, things happen, and that's all right.
and what are you gonna do?
What are you going to do? In this room, it is currently 95 degrees.
Yeah, it's tough. I really thought it was
What are you
gonna
going
be
to
warmer,
do?
but
Siri just went off in Tanner's pocket. What are you going to do?
tell
Nothing
him
can be done.
to silence, but he doesn't understand.
It's Target.
Oh,
Target Circle has let him know.
any good
Still
deals?
has no money.
No good deals.
Tough. Well, anyway, but that's the world of Casey's podcast. Lots of noises. Big world. Lots of noises.
Lots of them. Joe Morton from Cup of Joe finished a big race this week.
Woo, go Joe!
Listen to that story. It was
Very cool.
awesome.
Really cool.
It's called X Try. If you know the Iron Cowboy, James Lawrence, it was his race. And he
It's the
finished it.
starvation extra.
Starvation X Try, sorry.
Don't
X Try
discuss
is just a category. And he finished with 3 minutes to spare. So it's a little bit of a crazy story.
Cliffhanger.
Go tune in. He there were more. He wasn't like the last person to finish. He was just like the last person that qualified to finish because there were tons of other people that just didn't make it.
Counts as a DNF if you don't finish it within the time.
Within the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats to Joe, though. Very cool.
Yeah. Really a crazy story.
I think we need to address the elephant in the room for our YouTube listeners, watchers. We have big news over here. I don't know if you've noticed, but Zach is growing out his beard for a half marathon. I think we should talk about it.
The beard or the half marathon?
I think you need to bring this up on the podcast so that you stay committed to growing out your beard.
He's been committed. Oh, bingo.
Well, so I'm running a half marathon on September 14th, and so is Jack.
Woo!
Tanner has Lagoon.
I got a big day
Lagoon or
planned. Can't make it.
So for some reason, I thought that it would be a good idea. I saw that I started growing like stubble, and my face is one that shouldn't support a beard, which is what I thought from the multiple people saying, forgot to shave?
Don't do that.
And so I just decided to not shave, and I grow in patches. So I'm going to grow it out till the race. But it is affecting.
Till you're done?
Yeah, but it is affecting
Home life?
way that just personal, yeah. Home life, work life.
Just personal morale.
Yeah, I was looking at the mirror before dinner 2 nights ago, and Sabrina walked in, and I just said, "This is so ugly."
I really
that's
think
why-
it looks really nice.
That's why you have to announce it today so you can hold yourself accountable.
Yeah, I will not shave. So each week, this is how you'll know that it's a weekly
It is
podcast.
going to look pretty crazy because that means that we're going to go to Marvel. Mm-hmm. And you're going to...
You can trim it, though. Like,
Will not.
you should probably trim it. You should probably keep it, like, somewhat.
No, I'm going to trim it.
Tanner, you should probably do
No,
that.
you need to trim it. No, I'm going to try and have it look somewhat nice. But I've never grown a beard. And
That's how you got to start. You got to
Stash.
let it grow
Start
all
with
the way
something
out.
new. Yeah.
That's how they say the best way to do it is.
and Tanner is growing a mustache.
Whoever they
Yep.
is.
Got a big mustache for my big Lagoon day. Same day
Lagoon day.
as your race.
You're growing it out?
For a lagoon.
you're saying right now you're going to grow it out. You're not going to shave it until day of Lagoon.
No, I'm not saying that.
He's inferring it.
Could have committed.
The studio got iPads this week.
Big week for the stud.
Big iPads. Big iPad kids.
M4.
You guys got your iPads? Pull
Got
up your
mine right
iPads.
here.
It's on the other side. It's below
If
the
I could
chair.
open
if you will.
It's fine. It's not worth it. Tanner has.
Tanner's got his.
Open mine.
He got the pen.
cool
He got
case.
the keyboard.
Cool case, but it doesn't open very well.
Wow.
Big day.
Show everybody.
Huge.
Huge iPad guys over here.
The 11-inch M4 2024.
Hot take on the iPads. Cool. In theory, you have to buy all. You have to buy. You have to buy all the cool accessories to really make it worth it.
Yeah.
If you don't have the keyboard case, if you don't have the pen, if you don't have like a mouse that works with it, then it's all pointless.
Keyboard has the mouse. So
yeah.
double feature there.
Double feature.
But the
But
thing.
it's $300.
But you pay for it.
So
Yeah, here's the thing. It's like $900 and then the keyboard is $300 and then the Apple Pen is $150. So they make you feel like it's cheaper, but
it's
it's
not.
the same
You're
price as the
basically-
laptop.
Yeah, it's the same.
If you don't have a laptop though,
Good
and
option.
you're like only doing graphic design stuff, it could be a good option to only have that.
I would say that actually probably if you don't have a laptop and you do graphic design specifically, the 13-inch model with the keyboard case is probably a better option than getting like a MacBook Air or something like that, because it's a you can draw on it and stuff like that. So that opens up a lot of.
You can draw.
You can
Jack's
draw,
drawing
if you will.
something for us.
Been
Disney
noticed.
Channel
What am I
style.
This
Welcome.
is Disney Channel.
And this
Oh,
is
and there's our copyright.
tough.
Yeah, I can't decide if I like it yet, but that might be.
I really like it for
just can't have a
productivity.
case.
I've set up like my Notion on it and set up the Motion app. If you guys have gotten ads for that,
Mostly uses it to watch TV while he's working.
okay,
That makes 3 of us.
little call out. But yes, I do. I've watched the whole series of Game of Thrones in the last 3 weeks. So sue me.
Workplace activities keeps the mind creative, which leads us into today's topic: writer's block, which we are
Wow.
not writers. So
Clean.
But creative
Content
block.
Creative block.
creative block, and
Content block, all kinds of blocks. If you're experiencing
Blockage.
a blockage, hymns, this is our ad.
Not sponsored.
see your doctor. No, we are going to talk about the importance of making content.
And getting out there and perfecting your craft.
Content that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Yes, the
Which
balance,
we're not great at.
balance between client and I think public declaration on the podcast just for ourselves. We're at a place where not a ton of people are listening yet, so
Yeah.
I think it's a good place to come out and say we feel these things and we're going to do this, and know
Yes.
that we can get better at it, and say, all right, here it is. Let's challenge ourselves to do better at something that we know is a problem.
Yeah, we need to
Yeah.
get much better at creating our own content and posting. And I'm excited because our branding is almost done and it looks really cool. And it's like, I can see it. I can
It's going to
see our
help
cool
facilitate
posts,
that and
and I
going to
can
get us
see
excited.
like the story that we're going to tell. And I'm really excited for that. But we have done an awful job about posting about literally anything we're doing. Nobody knows what we do
Yeah.
No social media presence.
whatsoever. This podcast is a big part of that, obviously. But yeah, we do nothing. And we used to do a lot of like, not a lot, but we did used to go out a lot and like shoot wildlife or
It's easy to have days that you can just go and do it when you don't have anything else going on. So a
when you
big
don't
thing
have
is
important shit to do.
like scheduling it, because what I found is if we say, oh, well, we'll just do it when we have time, then there's always work to be done, especially if you're trying to run the business side of it. So run your content like a business and actually schedule time as if it's as important as a client.
as if someone is paying you to do
Yes.
it, because that is, and nowadays it's the only way someone's going to find you to pay, not the only way, but it's a big way that someone's
For
going to find you
marketing.
to pay you to do something. So in theory, someone is eventually paying you to do your own content and make your own stuff. But if you don't
That's
do it,
the goal.
then,
You should look at it as it is as important as a client.
Yeah.
It is. You are one
if
of your
not more
clients.
important, yeah. But public declaration. What's our public declaration?
Also,
once a month.
We have had content days on the calendar. Anytime they come by, just off. Doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's
We
tough.
did schedule it on a day that a client always schedules
True.
something. So
We did
Well,
always schedule
we-
them on
okay.
Fridays.
What happened was at the beginning of this year, we sat down and we scheduled everything out. We like went over our entire year, put everything down, and then we got
Jesse
this
Itzler
clients.
is
Yeah.
famous for the big ass calendar, if you will, and he sells them. And anyway, we got one and tried to do that, and it worked, but it also failed miserably. And we don't do the content days, and we need to do the content days. Probably a better way that we could do it is every Monday in our Monday
Weekly.
meeting, just say this is the day. Like, hey, this week we have this day free.
Yeah.
We are actually going to shoot something, whatever it is. We're going to shoot something that day. One of the things that we've noticed is that when you're kind of shooting your own content, it's also a good opportunity for you to test out your own gear. Like if gotten new gear, or you have gear that you don't use very often, it's a good opportunity to be like, oh, I'll bring this out and test it. Like, for example, we used to shoot these Music Mondays.
Music Monday.
And it would be a shot of one of us walking up, choosing a record, putting it on the record player, and then we made this cool little graphic that would like spin around and it'd be the 98 logo. And it was super sick. And we did it like 3 times.
It's a great idea that takes a long time.
Takes forever. That's another thing.
Another conversation. But for this one, yes,
make it easy. But for this one, we had to set up like a shotgun mic so that you could hear the music well. And
you had just got the FX3 handle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so we were like, it was pretty much like a whole thing to like test out how to connect the shotgun mic to the FX3, make it work. Because it took us like probably 40 minutes to actually figure out how to connect the FX3 shotgun handle to the shotgun mic, because it's this weird like channel thing and there's settings on the actual camera that you have to change for it to work. And so if we would have been on a set and had to do that,
there's little things you don't think about, like the shotgun is powered phantom power, but if the handle doesn't do that, then you need a battery to be able to do it. So it was a perfect example to test it and actually do something, because in theory, yes, you know how all the parts go together, but until you're actually shooting something, anything, you need to test that stuff. It will not go.
And if you're shooting something for a client and you're not totally sure how things are working, yes, you can figure it out in the moment, but that moment feels terrifying to figure something out. And so you're like, oh my gosh, nothing's working.
Yeah. My advice for figuring stuff out on the job is you can still figure it out, but the communication between team members on knowing you're figuring something out can't be heard by the client. And so now you're like trying to figure stuff out with no communication, which is very hard to do. You can get frustrated if the person doesn't understand that you're trying to figure something out. So the open communication of, oh, I actually don't know what's happening right now, let's figure this out, then is so much easier than on the job.
Like doing it when you're just
hiding
it's
you
just
two.
you and you're just like figuring it out. It's so much easier. And you can take your time too, and you can like really troubleshoot things and really get the settings dialed in so that when you are on the shoot, you're just like, I know the perfect thing for this. And if there's a little thing to tweak, then that's fine. But if you're trying to like figure out how to use a new mic and a new camera system and you're like, shit, I do not know what I'm doing.
Yeah, there's the cliche of practice makes perfect. I think if you practice all the time, then this is going to sound cheesy, but I think if you practice all the time, it's not going to make perfection, but it will make professional. And I think you can
go.
If you're in the moment with a client and you know how to use the gear that you're using, then
it also feels
look
so
professional
good
and know what you're doing.
It feels so good when a client like is like, I don't know, they're like impressed. They're like, oh, he really knows what he's doing. You're like, yeah, I do. I used this yesterday. Just got this.
Just learned.
Have not used this ever before.
The book we're listening to, Unreasonable Hospitality. Forgot the name.
It is a mouthful.
There's a part that's talking about kind of what Tanner was saying, but excellence, and by definition, excellence is making everything perfect that you can. Not everything's going to be perfect, but as many things will go right as possible. And I think that people can identify professionalism or the word excellence and see, oh, you actually know what you're doing and the things that can go well, which for the shotgun, we had batteries because we knew the battery died. And so then we were in Sandy and the battery died and Tanner had batteries. It's like, okay, well that's a excellence that and professionalism that somebody sees. Even if they don't necessarily see you do that, all the things that could go well.
Even if they don't notice it, and it talks about that in the book, like even if they don't notice it, what they would notice is something going wrong and you not being able to
They for
fix
sure will notice if you all of a sudden you can't use your microphone.
Exactly. And so if the less the client is like thinking, honestly, the less the client is thinking about you and like things are just going smoothly, the better. Like that's the perfect shoot would be the client, like everything just going to plan. Obviously that doesn't happen, but the less the client is like worrying about, the better.
And I think another thing is knowing your stuff when you're away from the studio.
Yeah.
So even practicing, like, get what you think you need for that day and just even go outside of your house if you don't have a place, and just do it outside and don't go back in to get stuff.
Yeah.
Because the convenience of being in a place where we can just open drawers, there's an HDMI that we forgot, so just grab that.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist, and Best Buy doesn't open until 10. And like, you learn these things, and you can't get a boom pole anywhere.
You've ran into that
opening
before.
till 10.
Yeah, the 10 o'clock when you're on a shoot at 8 means
You're just screwed if
you
don't
can't
have...
get that stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and so we'll go out and we'll do like we did the moose hunt, and we did the moose hunt twice, and we finally found a moose. But we did the moose hunt. We'll go out and shoot. We went to Antelope Island, and that was when we had a lot more time on our hands, so we could like just take the day and go to Antelope Island, and just like that day was gone. And then the moose hunt, we went up to the moose hunt, and then we just went to the Tracy Aviary and shot birds in cages. But
Good times.
It's so fun, and you have this stuff, and you just need to use it.
Yeah.
Because even if you think, okay, well, a couple months ago I was really good at using this camera, so I'm fine to use it again.
Yeah.
The second you take it out after a month of using your camera, is like, oh gosh, I don't feel comfortable on this.
Yeah. Oh, I think it was the second moose hunt shoot where we actually went and like saw a moose. I had it was Antelope Island, and I had my matte box and my mist filter and a variable ND on the matte box. But what I noticed is that when you if you have the mist filter on and you put the variable ND in the matte box, it creates like this ghost effect where you can see the outline of a person. It creates like a weird like double
like
image.
A halo or something.
Yeah. And so I went back and I looked at the footage, and all the shots had like a weird like second image. And if that would have happened on someone else's shoot, that would have been awful.
You would
That
have
would have
ruined.
been totally ruined. But it's just us messing around at Antelope Island. It's a bunch of crappy shots of like some old barn, and so it's like, who cares?
And it's actually cool. Like, you can post that for yourself and say you did it on purpose.
Exactly.
It's not lost footage when it happens, something like that, where it's kind of weird, but you could make
something
you
out
can
of it.
edit it.
It looks
to
kind of
be on
ethereal.
purpose.
And,
Yeah,
exactly.
But if the client's expectation is not your creativity, that's where you're in trouble.
Exactly.
So, are you not looking for a double image on everything?
You're looking for this weird ghost effect on everything. That's a bummer because it's in everything.
Rough.
But so anyway, and also just like going out and like figuring out the FX3, like that first moose hunt we did, and did like the Wes Anderson style stuff. Like, that was a really cool opportunity for me to just like mess around with the FX3 settings and get used to it. And some of those shots turned out really shitty, but like we had made it work.
But we were by a highway in Heber in the middle of the day. Like, are we going to find a moose?
No.
No. Like, there are no moose sightings around that area. We're right next to a river that's going, all the guys fishing.
Yeah.
Like, you can have that idea, but it really was to use our gear. Tanner had his 2 to 600 and it was using that for some of the first times.
Yeah.
It was.
And the Wes Anderson
more to
stuff was cool.
use.
Like, it looked fun,
it
and
was
like
fun.
it was like a cool trend for us to do. And so
Yeah. While you're using it, try and use whatever
everything.
you get.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, when I've already talked about this a little bit, but when I came into the studio as like a partner is when I got my like first Sony. And
Finally switched.
so when I got my Sony, last year I was just shooting like concerts. I was going and shooting rodeos. Like last week I went and shot first responders. I went out and shot the firefighters putting a fire out in a dumpster. And it's like, if you can just get out and put yourself into these situations that you can just trial your gear and figure out how to use it. That's
even that shot right there. Like we were just
surfing,
driving.
yeah.
We were in Hawaii, and we were just driving down the highway, and there were these. We tried to go to this one really cool spot, Jaws. You've probably heard of it, and like these big waves. We get there. It's 80 miles away, and like you can barely see the waves. Tanner's like zooming in all the way at 600, and it's like not cool at all. I thought that there would be really cool surfers, but we're driving back from that area and there's a bunch of these literally pro surfers getting filmed with there's like a red Komodo.
They had reds. They
so-
had drones out
Yeah,
there.
giant like Mavic 3s, like a legit shoot for like
Had
probably like
photographers
Oakley or like a
with,
Surf
like,
Mag or something like that.
like the what's the cases?
Yeah, the
called?
waterproof
water-
cases.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're called, but yeah, they had
The housing,
photographers literally
waterproof
in the water. Like it was a full on shoot. And so Tanner, we were like close enough, and he could get out there and shoot. I'll show the image, but he could get out there and like shoot that, which you've never
Yeah.
shot surfers like that before. Like so that's even just like random stuff. Like if you see something cool on the side, just be like on the side of the road or like whatever, just be like, oh hey, that'd be kind of a cool photo.
But you still want to be able to use those images on your feed for clients.
Yeah. So just being like intentional, whether that be like trying to keep your brand guidelines intact and
Versatile.
shooting for like specifically what you would want to post on your feed. Even if it ends up not being something that you do post because you're just practicing, just kind of shoot with that idea in mind that you could use that and kind of feed that into your socials.
If you're not posting it, it doesn't count.
Nobody
It's true.
sees
I mean,
it. It counts for your practice,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that could also help someone hire you. So I
Yeah.
think with like that specific situation, we had concert photos at that time and we were on a trip to Hawaii. And so it wouldn't really make sense to post those photos. But if you have a brand that allows you to post more of not a specific niche, but just photos in general and content in general,
Yeah.
then it will help you. You can, like Tanner's been making mock-ups that are really cool that allow him to just put it on a book and that's the photos. And that's a good way to just have this consistent feed that feels on brand no matter what you go and shoot.
Yeah. I think that's what's going to be so exciting about like our new branding and everything like that, because it has been in the past not hard for us to post, just like confusing on what to post because we haven't really had like a direction or like a like what do we like. We posted so much concert photos or we posted those Monday music things for a long time, and it was like, oh, maybe we'll do this every Monday, but then we didn't post anything else, and so it was just 3 music Mondays in a row. And everyone was like, what's this?
And then you did coffee. The coffee thing
there
was
was a
really
coffee
cool,
thing,
and then
exactly.
informational stuff. It's just all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think with that, it was kind of like whenever we were feeling inspiration to be creative, like it was really easy because we were in the studio. And I think a really important thing and what we're trying to do is like make content like whether or not you're feeling that creative, because you'll start to feel it as you go. Like you'll just start to like, if you just push yourself to be creative, you'll get those creative juices flowing. If you're only shooting when you're feeling creative, then you're never going to shoot.
It's hard when you haven't scheduled it and taken the time to do it more consistent. So if it's always a big deal, every single time you take out your camera, like I did this 2 weeks ago, so now I'm going to do it today. And I don't really understand this setting, but I'm going to try and do this for the 2 hours that I have available. Then of course it's going to be frustrating and not fun. And it's not efficient to even do that on your own content. So I would say a good balance is try and shoot something for yourself like 2 times, 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's not every 2 weeks we set aside something and it's a big deal and go out and find something, because you're going to be frustrated that you feel inconsistent on it and can't use your camera, can't use your microphones. And if that time is spent only educating yourself on how to use it,
you're not going to get any content.
Yeah, there's a balance between what we were saying, because I don't want it to sound contradicting, because there is the time of learning it, and that's good. But then once you learn it, utilize it.
Yeah,
you learned it.
And I think it's important to set up like systems that make it easy, like the way that your office is set up or the way that my office is set up. Like it can make it easy to just shoot the content and be like ready to go. And like I think there's systems you can put in place where it's like it makes it super simple for you, just like, oh, I have a cool idea, let me just shoot this really quick. And
more than having a great idea and figuring it out, consistency has to be there. And the truth is you can't do that 2 to 3 times a week and run a business and have all your clients.
Yeah, no.
It's
Like
too
there was that
much.
one really cool shot I got of like I set up the LED tubes and made them like all colorful and got that really cool orange gradient.
Yeah.
And I'll show the picture, but I set Zach there and we
Yeah, in his
I did the
office.
unboxing of the X100V. We never posted that. But and I think kind of the reason we never posted it is one, that like took so long to set up. Like that took so much like trial and error, and it was just kind of like a long process. And I think if you kind of hold yourself to like a crazy standard of like, it needs to be this crazy shot and it's got to have these like cool lights and it's got to really stand out like it does. But also if you're just like recording and you're like, well, shit, I just spent like 3 hours setting this shot up.
Yeah. If you're taking 3 hours to set up a shot that you're feeling creative about,
Yeah.
and then by the time you actually get to shoot it, you're like worn out and exhausted, then you're not
Like,
going to be pumped
spent
about
so long just lighting everything and you're
it.
like,
Yeah.
We
don't
also
like it.
have had a habit of like really loving just the setup and not really planning out,
Yeah.
well, what are we going to
Yeah.
do once this is set up? So we'll take 2 hours to get a really great shot, but then have no content
Yeah.
planned
and
or
the funny
any
thing
idea.
is that setup would be good content.
That setup is great content. That setup is how to set
Literally.
a talking head up with all of these LED lights and this backdrop, and because it was in your office, so
Yeah.
that whole thing is a great.
And it looked
Great
sick. And
content.
it was like, if we would have just filmed that setup,
Yeah.
that would have been really good content.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're not really saying anything right here except for just like be mindful of how you're shooting your content and honestly try to make it easy. Like if it's hard every single time, you're going to burn yourself out so quickly because you're just like
For
Yeah.
what
40
also?
times.
For what? Because it's not gonna help you get farther ahead
Yeah.
than if you post 7 times and it was a little bit easier than that, then people are gonna say you have something to say. You're doing consistent
Totally.
content. This is great. If you take one video because it took you 7 hours
Yeah.
in that week, the person's gonna say it looks good, but I don't really see a lot from you, and
Totally.
I'd love to see more about
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah. One of my favorite creators, that Tom
No,
Nosk or whatever.
we're gonna say
Yeah,
it wrong,
I know,
but it's okay.
His thing was like he just started filming himself and I think he started filming himself on his iPhone and like the shots didn't look great, but he just started doing it and started talking to the camera and he got really comfortable in front of the camera. He's like I would just spend 2 hours talking to a camera and do nothing with it. And I'm like, that's like crazy. Like it sounds like a waste of time and it kind of is, but like he got really good at talking to the camera. And now it's his whole business and his content's gotten way better. Like it's really cool edits now. He shoots it on FX30s, like, but he had to start from there
Yeah.
and get good at it.
If you think, because you scheduled time, that's going to be an awesome clip when you haven't done the work to actually
Yeah.
make awesome content, then good
Honey,
luck.
you got another thing coming.
Because everyone has
Not
the
gonna be
idea,
good.
because we see on Instagram people doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
And we could do it, but you can't just show up and do it. That person has put so much work into
Yeah.
getting
100%.
that comfortable, and that doesn't just happen. So if it feels like you lost it and there isn't something you're comfortable posting, then maybe hold on to it. I think everything can go out, but maybe just say that day was just for me to get a
Yeah.
little bit better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to hit on was with making content for yourself, really focusing on you're only in charge of the inputs and not the outputs. That's applied in lots of books, business, across anything.
Yeah.
But really being in charge of your inputs in this situation, I think means just turning on your camera and not necessarily mapping exactly how it's going to go. You can have some bullet points. But for example, we went to Midway. You guys can talk about this story more in depth, but we had a plan to go get wildlife. And that's what we thought the output would be.
Yeah.
And Midway is a city like 30 minutes from us. We're in Utah, so like 30 minutes anywhere is full of wildlife normally. And
Yeah.
we've seen really cool
Seen super cool stuff there.
bald eagles there, fox there.
Yeah.
So we went out. We had this time scheduled. We left, and the output was we're going to go do a wildlife day. And quickly. I mean, you can take it from there. That's not what happened.
You're talking about the last one that we just did?
The last one.
That was tough. we pretty much, we didn't even grab, we just grabbed our cameras. Was it early?
No, it was like 10.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like the previous ones we did at like 6 a.m. and we left because that's when the birds are really out. There's fishermen out there, because
That's when life is moving.
Right in the morning is when all the birds are out and about. And so we went at 10. It's like the middle of the day. It's pretty hot, and it's like this marsh up in Midway that's right by the lake. And so we get up there, and I'm forgetting.
There's just nothing.
We walked around for like 30 minutes, and there was literally nothing.
Like not even mosquitoes to bug me and gnats. Like literally just nothing.
Like full, just empty marsh.
And usually there's so many fishermen. There was 2.
Yeah,
and
there
they
was
weren't
a cute dog
catching anything. Yeah,
There was just no preparedness. Like we didn't even, I don't think, talked about going up there before.
Yeah, no.
We just got into work that day, and there was like nothing. We were like, oh, well, let's go up to Midway.
Yeah.
And
which would have been a good idea. Let's go to Midway and specifically do wildlife today.
yeah,
That's probably where we messed up.
well, I think that was kind of what we were planning on doing, right? But we got up there and there was just nothing.
That's what I'm
we
saying
had not
is
planned anything prior.
If the output is that we're going to get wildlife and then we got back and it feels like a failure, then that's where you're not in control of like what necessarily that content is that day. The most important thing was us just going, because then we went to like a random store.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that the input we put in was like, let's go up and shoot wildlife. And the input we probably should have been put in is like, let's just go shoot something. Like, and like, let's go shoot our day. Like, let's go to Midway and try and get something cool, but let's shoot the content of us doing that.
Yeah.
And us going in the store and going to Burger Supreme or whatever that place is. Like, would have been fun and would have been kind of a funny vlog, and like we didn't get anything and all that. But as soon as we got off of that, like, oh, there's no wildlife here, it just, the day ended pretty much. It was just like, this is like a throwaway day. This day's a wash.
When there was beautiful stuff all around us, we could have been vlogging the whole time. We have vlog cameras.
We could have driven 30 minutes up further a little bit and gone to like up the canyon.
Park City's right there.
Park City's right there. Like, but we were so set on like, let's go to Midway and get this wildlife, and that was our input. And it was just like, and the output was obviously nothing because there was no wildlife.
That was probably our input because we had done that previously and it was successful the first time. And so we were like, oh, well, let's go do that again. But it was very different setting. Like, it was the same place, but when you go out at 10 a.m. versus 6 a.m., there's a lot of different.
The moral of the story, there just needs to be like better planning on the part, on everybody's part. Is like, you just need a plan. You need to have good inputs and
also be okay with, okay, when it doesn't work out, then that's content. The story, I think the biggest thing is that our brand and being creative is a fun story in itself. And sometimes we get caught up in, well, that's just what we did today because that's our job. But not everybody has this job. And so if you're trying to build community around, this is what we do, there's other people that got up and thought that they were going to get something and didn't, then that's your way to relate to community, because guess what? People do that all the time.
Yeah.
And for us to say we got birds today that we really wanted to would be kind of cool, but people are going to resonate probably more with, I didn't
get
today.
Anything. Yeah.
And I really tried.
And that happens more often than not.
And that's happened 10 times for every one time we saw something really cool. Like, to see those 2 moose that are on the wall right now
fighting.
We woke up at 3:30 in the morning is when we left to get it. And we can't do that every time, but there was so many times before then that would have been fun to document and tell that story and post about it. Yeah. So that when we finally did, everyone's like,
hey, they saw a moose.
They did it. They did. Exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But we waited till the perfect time. And then, oh, you just must be really good at this. And you did it.
and
Yeah.
then nobody really like cares about
There's
the
4
story.
prior times where we did not see a moose.
And nobody really cares, or I guess I'll speak for myself. I'm not as impressed when I just see something that was done well,
Mhm.
and I'm not bought into that person showing me that they did something cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun to have that for portfolio, but when you're posting,
Yeah, it looks good for the client.
the person doesn't need to see perfect stuff. They just
Yeah.
want to be part of the world of what you're
Exactly.
doing and some stuff that you learned along the way. Like for Midway, talking about that, someone could watch that and say, well, I'm not going to leave in the middle of the day if I want to do
I want to
wildlife.
shoot some cool birds.
So
Yeah.
I think the topic, we kind of went sidetrack onto just posting content, but creative block.
Yeah.
I think the best way to get through that for me would be just turning your camera on
Yeah.
Get out
And-
there.
Just
Yeah.
going and shooting.
and those things. That is being creative. And if you don't always feel that super high, I'm doing stuff, it's all flowing.
Yeah.
That just isn't reality of every single day, but
Yeah.
you'll have those moments if you're just focused on getting out there and being consistent when you don't feel like it.
Not being worried
Yeah.
about those outputs. Just put in your inputs and things will work out.
Yeah.
Love it. Anything else?
Yeah, with like photography specifically, just go like you can literally go do anything. Go buy a $5 ticket to a high school soccer game,
Mm-hmm.
basketball game. Just put yourself in the situation that you can practice and get some content to put out there for people and try to progress your craft.
Try to have fun.
Try to have fun. Just have a good time, peeps. That's all.
That's it. And remember, this is all off the record.
Woo! Beautiful.